The effects of language and cultural on English language learners, ELLs, will be examined with particular attention to the cognitive, social, and instructional distinctions in the process of first and second language acquisitions. The discussion will explore how bilingualism develops and emphasizes essential elements that affect proficiency, such as exposure, L1 literacy, and teaching strategies. The way bilingual, sheltered, and inclusion-based education help ELLs at different skill levels will be examined in depth. The conversation will include social, cultural, and psychological obstacles such as prejudice based on language and lack of access to educational materials. Finally, a summary of ESOL laws, standards, and regulation will describe how ELLs are identified, supported, and reclassified at the district, state, and federal levels. Environmental influences. Experience and cognitive processing vary between learning a first and second language, while L2 acquisitions necessitates organized learning and explicit teaching. L1 acquisition happens spontaneously through implicit learning through social contact. Cognitive development is vital for language transfer, and learning efficiency is impacted by similarities and contrasts between L1 and L2. Tang, ETAL 2021. Fluency and understanding are influenced by exposure to the target language. More exposure speeds up acquisition. Beyond conversational fluency, academic language competency calls for more assistance, focusing on structured education. Effective interventions to improve understanding and retention among ELLs include content-based learning integration, individualized teaching, and scaffolding. Edelman, ETAL 2022. Teachers can adapt their lessons to best meet the needs of their students by being aware of these variations. Exposure to various languages, either sequentially or simultaneously, foster the development of bilingualism. Sequential bilingualism starts once L1 competency is attained, whereas simultaneous bilingualism happens when both languages are learned from birth. Age strongly influences language acquisitions, with early exposure frequently resulting in increased fluency. Cognitive flexibility, executive function, and problem-solving abilities are all improved by bilingualism. However, socioeconomic positions impacts languages development since exposure chances, parental education, and literacy materials are all influence competencies. Fu 2024. Dual language education promotes both L1 and L2 literacy and translanguaging techniques, which enable students to use both languages for understanding, are examples of effective teaching methods. Mueller, ETAL 2020. Teachers need to consider these things to help multilingual kids succeed academically. Gaining language proficiency is crucial for social integration and academic achievement. Academic proficiency, CALP, and conversational fluency, BICS, BICS, have different language roles. Tang, ETAL 2021. Academic competency takes 5 to 7 years, whereas conversational fluency usually takes 1 to 2 years. Dixon, ETAL 2020. Students frequently exhibit spoken competency before learning intricate textual structures, indicating that oral abilities often come before written skills. Bilingual kids frequently use code switching to negotiate language demands in various circumstances. Juggalo 2024. For ELL, help and academic advancement, assessment results must be communicated effectively. Collaboration between educators and parents guarantees that families know language competence levels, teaching methods, and available resources. Presenting information in easily readable ways, considering cultural perspectives on education, is known as culturally responsive reporting. Leader ETAL 2024. Equal participation is encouraged via linguistic accessibility, which includes interpreters and translated papers. Stakeholders' involvement ensures that ELLs receive complete assistance by including school personnel, community leaders, and legislators. Teachers can customize treatment by using data-driven decision-making to inform instructional modifications. Other sources come from community collaborations, including after-school programs and ESOL advocacy groups. Oliver, 2021. Collaboration is promoted, and ELL success is improved via open and inclusive communications. The phonological, syntactic, and written conventions of L1 impact L2. Writing frameworks, guided conversations, and sentence starters are examples of instructional scaffolding that aid in bridging the gap between written and spoken English. Edelman, ETAL 2022. Differentiating instructions based on students' linguistic functions is necessary for teachers to promote overall competency. Accents and non-native fluency affect how intelligent people see ELL students, who frequently experience linguistic prejudice. Unfair learning opportunities result from peers and teachers' implicit biases. Academic advancements is hampered by limited access to resources like technology, multilingual literature, and tutoring services. Teachers' expectations greatly influence ELL success. Lower expectations result in fewer academic obstacles. Leader ETAL 2024. Some districts engage in ELL segregation by putting children in different courses and limiting their contact with fluent English speakers. Woltran and Squab 2025. Multilingual resources, equal learning opportunities, and student cultural backgrounds are all incorporated into culturally inclusive education. Leader ETAL 2024. By addressing structural inequalities, ELLs are guaranteed the assistance they need to succeed academically. By appealing to various senses, multisensory approaches improve dyslexia remediation and ELL learning. Understanding is strengthened by visual aids such as labeled pictures, anchor charts, and graphic organizers. Kinesthetic learning enhances word recall by combining movement-based exercises such as total physical response, TPR. Select ETAL 2021. Read aloud podcasts and phonemic exercises are examples of auditory reinforcement that improves listening and decoding abilities. ELLs who struggle with letter sound interactions must develop phonemic awareness. Learning is personalized via technology, such as interactive language applications and speech-to-text tools. Differentiated teaching guarantees that students receive tailored learning experiences according to their cognitive demands and linguistic skills. Leader ETAL 2024. Reading confidence, comprehension, and fluency are all enhanced by these techniques. Letter tiles, tracing exercises, and manipulatives are all examples of hands-on activities that help learn spelling and phonics. Repeating methods develop automacy, including frequent exposure to sight words and echo reading. Akayo and Suro 2020. While practicing new vocabulary, sentence frames, lessens cognitive burden by assisting students in creating grammatically sound replies. Language retention is improved by rhythmic reading, which includes chanting, clapping syllables, and employing musical mnemonics. Peer assisted learning encourages participation by offering organized chances for group reading and conversations. Constant progress tracking via adaptive software. Instructive observation and formative assessments guarantees that interventions are successful and meet the requirements of the pupils. By implementing these methods, ELLs and kids with learning disabilities accomplish better academically. Second language acquisition theories shed light on how ELLs become proficient. The behaviorist philosophy strongly emphasizes reinforcement and repetition, which helps language learners develop habits. The innatist viewpoint supports early childhood naturalistic exposure by implying an innate capacity for language acquisitions. Sato ETAL 2025. Cognitive theories emphasizes how mental functions like information processing and working memory affect how well students learn. Sato EL 2025. The sociocultural paradigm emphasizes how crucial social environment and interactions are to language development. Bilingualism is linked to improve executive function, cognitive flexibility, and problem-solving abilities. Mueller ETAL 2020. Factors such as exposure, motivation, and age influence second language performance. Comprehending these ideas help teachers develop instructional techniques that meet the various requirements of ELLs. Various ELL instructional styles address different linguistic and academic demands. Long-term cognitive and academic benefits results from bilingual education programs that foster literacy in both the L1 and L2. Transitional bilingual models promote English competence by progressively moving teaching from L1 to L2 while guaranteeing comprehension. Tang ETAL 2021. Dual language immersion programs combine ELLs with native English speakers, offering education in both languages to promote balanced bilingualism. Sheltered instruction employs reduced language, interactive exercises, and visual aids to teach language depending on the subject. Diverse competency levels must be accommodated in inclusion classes through individualized instructions which possess problems leader ETAL 2024. In mixed language environments, successful scaffolding strategies promote academic achievement and language understanding. ELL's progress in school is impacted by the varying speeds at which their academic and social language abilities improve. BICs usually appear in 1 to 2 years, allowing for conversational fluency and casual contacts. Tang ETAL 2021. The 5 to 7 year CALC program covers sophisticated vocabulary, grammar, and discourse structures necessary for academic performance. Tang ETAL 2021. Higher order cognitive functions such as analysis, assessment, and synthesis are required while speaking academically. Traditional tests frequently misrepresents ELL performance by emphasizing conversational skills over academic language comprehension. Oliver 2021. While keeping ELLs interested in the material covered in class, instructional modifications like guided reading techniques and explicit academic vocabulary training help them acquire CAP. In the past, several strategies have been used to improve ESOL training, often ignoring verbal fluency. The grammar translation technique concentrates on reading, writing, and direct translation. The audiolingual method reinforces structural correctness through drilling and repetition. Grammar correctness is subordinated to interaction and practical communication and communicative language instructions. TPR fosters kinesthetic learning in your learners using movement-based instructions. Selick ETAL 2021. Instructions and explicit strategies for academic achievement is incorporated into the cognitive academic language acquisition method. The Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, SIOP, paradigm supports ELLs in mainstream classrooms by implementing organized lessons, design, scaffolding, and interaction tactics. Edelman ETAL 2022. The student's linguistic skills and learning objectives determine which method is best. Teachers can better comprehend ELL language learning difficulties by comparing English to other languages. Different languages have different phonological processing, which affects phoneme detection and pronunciation. For learners whose L1 does not have the phonetic differences inherent in English, phonemic awareness might be challenging. Different languages have different grammar patterns. For example, English relies on word order, but Arabic and Russian utilize inflection to express meaning. Levinshina 2021. ELL's writing skills are impacted by syntax complexity, which includes verb conjugations, sentence construction, and tense creation. In contrast to phonetic languages, the spelling patterns of English are irregular. Reading comprehension requires intensive phonics and vocabulary training, since oral language abilities frequently emerge before literacy. Edelman ETAL 2022. Effective teaching tactics may be designed with the use of linguistic awareness. L1 provides a basis for learning the L2 by imparting literacy abilities, including comprehension techniques, sentence and structure, and phonemic awareness. Building on prior language knowledge helps students' cognitive skills improve the effectiveness of L2 acquisition, SATU, ETAL 2025. Expanding vocabulary in both languages is made possibly by exposure to L1, which enhances conceptual comprehension, alternating between L1 and L2, or code switching promotes learning and makes communication easier, Jugalu 2024. Providing a solid linguistic foundation, parental reinforcement in L1 at home aids in developing literacy. When L1 instruction is incorporated into the bilingual education models, pupils can become proficient in both languages before switching to English, improving academic performance. Several factors, such as the psychological strain of adjusting to a new environment while learning a foreign language, affects ELL capacities to learn English. Due to restricted social support networks and limitations to peer communication, social integration is frequently difficult. Mueller, ETAL 2020. Conflicts over cultural identity occur when students struggle to balance assimilating into English-dominant environments and preserving their heritage language. Access to tutoring, educational materials, and technology that are necessary for language development is impacted by economic differences, FU 2024. Political decisions, including financing for ESL programs and bilingual education regulations, shape the availability of instructional assistance. Schools must use equitable language assistance measures because language access limitations, such as a shortage of interpreters or multilingual teachers, can hinder productive learning experiences. ELL education that works depends on data-driven decision making using a variety of evaluation techniques. Writing samples and oral presentations are formative assessments that give immediate information on students' development. Tests of language competence, such as WIDA Access, assesses speaking, listening, reading, and writing abilities, Patterson and Snyder 2024. Through the compilation of student work, comments, and instructor feedback, portfolio-based assessments record progress over time. Dogan ETAL 2024. Teacher observation supports official assessment by evaluating fluency, understanding, and participation. Standardized tests frequently do not capture ELL's whole language abilities, necessitating other examinations. Students at different competency levels receiving individualized help through instructional modifications, such as varied reading techniques and focused vocabulary training. An engaging student-centered learning environment promotes ELL's active engagement and language development. Peer conversations and cooperative projects are examples of collaborative group activities that foster communication and English proficiency. Lessons that include students' histories, experiences, and multilingual viewpoints are known as culturally relevant teaching. Leader ETAL 2024. Gradual language learning is ensured via scaffolded language assistance, which includes guided reading and sentence structures. Edelman ETAL 2022. Digital storytelling and language learning applications are examples of interactive technology that improves engagement. Different teaching modalities, including solo study stations and small group coaching, are supported by flexible learning environments. Student-led conversations foster verbal fluency and critical thinking, which helps ELLs gain confidence in social and academic language contexts. The legislation significantly impacts how ESOL programs are implemented and how ELLs are supported. Bilingual education rules were established by the Lau v. Nichols 1974 verdict, which required linguistic adjustments. EA and Song 2024. The Every Student Succeed Act, ESSA, mandates that states be held accountable for ELL programs and that instructional adjustment match proficiency levels. Leader ETAL 2024. Initially advocating dual language education, the Bilingual Education Act 1968 gradually prioritized English immersion, EA and Song 2024. Variations in state financing impact language development initiatives, curriculum design, and the availability of ESL teachers, depending on local funds and demography. Districts implement a variety of teaching styles. Legal accountability mechanisms provide equal access to language development services for ELLs, avoiding discrimination in public education. ELL categorization adheres to federal and state mandated protocols to identify language support requirements. The Home Language Survey identifies students needing a language competency assessments, EE and Song 2024. For placement choices, hearing, speaking, reading, and writing skills are evaluated using WIDA Access or state-specific assessments, Patterson and Snyder 2024. Assessment results, instructor suggestions, and family involvement all influence first replacement. ELLs must demonstrate academic preparedness and reach state-defined competency levels to achieve reclassification requirements. Different states have different exit requirements, such as needing classroom performance evaluations and various examinations. Continuous programs tracking after leaving ESOL programs guarantees that former ELLs continue to succeed academically without further language assistance. When kids face challenges following reclassification, the district office focus assistance. Focusing on the cognitive, social, and instructional differences between first and second language learning, the conversation examined how language and cultural affect ELL education. Essential components of bilingualism, such as exposure, L1 literacy, and teaching strategies, were investigated. The efficacy of research-based teaching approaches, including multilingual, sheltered, and inclusion programs, was examined. Problems were mentioned, such as insufficient resources, societal hurdles, language prejudice, legal frameworks that guarantee ELL identification, assistance, and reclassification include Luo versus Nicholas and ESSA. Enhancing ELL's academic performance and linguistic competency can be achieved via varied education, multimodal teaching methods, and culturally sensitive teaching.